Today is August 28th. We are expecting the remnants of the Hurricane Laura to come through tonight and into tomorrow. So I wanted to take a video before any more wind damage or storm damage. So let's just do a quick update here. Things are definitely slowing down, but in some ways they're actually really sped up. So I still have some peppers here. I've got some sweet peppers as well as hot peppers still forming. Some of them have already been picked. I have a few more watermelons that has just formed and still growing. You can see definitely more peppers here. So my peppers actually have been really surprising. They produced first and then they stopped producing and then just started growing. So and you can see up there I have a pepper plant that's sticking way over my head. So that's a very tall plant. That's a hot pepper actually. You can see the hot. I think these are the Thai chilies that my sister gave me. I have no idea which ones this is. Some kind of sweet pepper, I know that, but I don't know what kind. These tomatoes are really not doing well. They keep blooming, but they don't produce anything. So I don't know what to do with it. And one thing that I discovered this year that I've never knew about this before. Here's a tomato bug that's been attacked by a wasp. So it's a paralytic wasp that kind of eats it from the inside, and it carries the larva on its own back. So my little tomato plant here is still producing slightly. Unfortunately, the people who were mowing the lawn today really knocked it around. As you can see, they were not very careful. Anyway, going back to peppers. Like I said, my peppers have gone kind of berserk. I still have quite a few of them forming here. So these are the sweet ones. And then I have this explosion, and I cannot call it anything else. These Thai chilies, I believe, that's what they are. For a long time, this plant has not been really producing anything. It is now covered. And I know it's hard to see because right now they're still blending in. You can see them. I'm waiting until they actually start ripening so you can see them a little bit better. So again, lots of them here. And there is the chocolate cake, I believe that's the name of it. Also very spicy. And the shishito pepper is somewhere in here as well. So it's kind of a hodgepodge. So here are some more shishitos. I've got a hodgepodge of different peppers that are just really exploded in production. I have a few chilies here. So nicely formed. So they're still ripening. They're more inside. But yeah, this is what I mean. I've got these Thai peppers just took over, and oh my gosh, they're so productive. I have never seen anything like this. It's really hard to describe. Anyways, so my basil that I had cut off I really trimmed it down just before I left, and it's still growing, but I've definitely slowed down a little bit. Again, another tomato plant. There are two actually of them here. Some have formed, but most of it keeps blooming and then dropping off. Now my cabbages have been a disaster. I was away for a week and I missed when the worms got into it. And you can see there is nothing left of cabbage. Completely destroyed. So I have to pull it off and pull it out and get something else growing in there. Now transitioning here, I have serious problems here with the blight. The blight had affected my tomato plants and it affected the watermelons. At least on one side here, the blight, you can really see the discoloration and the damages, but mostly you can really see it on the fruit. Here is the blight. You can see it here really well. The fruit is literally, it's not ripe, it's rotting on the vine. It's rotting inside out. So even though this wine has been really productive, it's useless. I can't eat any of it because all of these tomatoes, they're completely rotten from the inside out. So that's a complete waste. I need to pull all of these tomatoes out at some point, but right now they're intertwined with the watermelons, which luckily are still growing and they're still ripening. They're not fully dead. I have a really big watermelon sitting up there and another one. I had to create a ledge for it because it was getting too heavy. It could not support itself. So it's growing that way. And I have another one here. So, but I skipped part. So this is my second planting of beans. They're up to my waist and they're in full production mode. You can see. I have no idea what kind they are either. So if anyone knows, please let me know. Whatever they are, they're tasty. I already picked the first batch of beans, and the second one is growing. So this is the second wave of continued need to pick up. I'm gonna pick them tonight before the storm hits. And then I have the watermelons. This is still young, it's still forming. I think this one has finished growing. I have that in a support, and hopefully they will continue to grow. There is still time for them to ripen. So going past my watermelons again, this is another tomato plant. You can see these are actually very tasty. I've been enjoying them all summer. Some of my favorites. But unfortunately the plant is really sick. It's really been hit hard by the, you can see the discoloration. It's really been hit hard by the blight, and you can see the same thing on the watermelon. The blight is destroying all of it. So I need to pick that big one. It's about 5 pounds, I think. And there is a small one that just formed a couple of days ago, hanging next to it. So I already picked a lot of the watermelons. There was a watermelon here that is gone now, a couple from here and 2 from here. So this spot has 3 melons, now has 1, but it's a nice large watermelon. It looks like my carrots are still growing, kinda, or at least they're trying to. And more watermelons forming. So here is another watermelon that has just formed not too long ago. It's a nice, decent size. It's about the size of a cantaloupe right now, but hopefully it will continue to grow. I'd like it to be a little bit bigger. So here is my medium-sized tomatoes. These are the salad tomatoes, also not doing very well. For some reason they had a lot of blooms, but the blooms keep falling off. And you can see here the blooms are there, but nothing forms. Only a few tomatoes are actually on the plant. Now next to it I have another sweet pepper with a few peppers on it. This was the one that almost died, and I didn't think it was gonna do much, but it's beginning to turn color, so it's trying to produce something. My carrots are doing quite well. You can see them. So I'm gonna pull some of these soon and plant something else. Maybe some radishes I'll put there. I have eggplant that's still producing, so some is still blooming and some is forming fruit. Most of the cantaloupe on this side already finished producing, and another one fell down. So I have another ripe cantaloupe, completely ripe, nice and yellow. It's very small compared to the others, but it is fully ripe and it smells amazing. Very sweet aroma. I have some more peppers inside and some more eggplants. So it's still not total loss on this side. More eggplants here. I had another. So I used to have two cantaloupes on this side. The dark ones. One I accidentally knocked down. The other one fell on the other side of the lot. And they were both very tasty. But there is another one of its kind that formed here. So in another 4 weeks or so, I'll have another cantaloupe. This one has not set yet, so it's still growing in size. And hopefully it will continue growing. I'm saying hopefully because the vines are definitely affected by the blight. You can see the blight is hitting everything. My tomatoes are dying, all of the brown spots, they're rotting. So I really need to clean this up eventually. I still have a few larger tomatoes here. They're not ripe yet. I have another Rosa Bianca. That's a Rosa Bianca. I have another Hichibum growing. And another one just formed a couple of days ago. So more eggplants to come. And another pepper here. So I told you I had to pull most of my tomatoes and beans from that side, so that's empty. It has been disinfected. And here it's I have one plant that's kind of a lesson learned. So and I unfortunately don't know what kind of cucumber this is because I got it from a nursery. I had a plant that was dying in one of the pots and I took it out and I transplanted it here. Believe it or not, this huge mess is one single plant, cucumber. It has lots and lots of runners. You can see all of these different runners. They have their own cucumbers. And it's a really, really long cucumber, so I want to show you. It's not fully ripe yet, but I want to show you anyway. Goodness. It's huge. It's the length of my arm now. It's a good 15, 16 inches. So the length of my forearm. And there are more cucumbers as well. So more forming and blooming. So it's a productive cucumber, but it's definitely huge, very long. And I have another one that I already picked yesterday. I'm still growing the caterpillars, so yes, you can make fun of me about it, but they're here. These are the swallowtail caterpillars. I have several of them still here. The first ones that I had before already formed a cocoon and flew out as swallowtail, actual butterflies, and these are still growing. So this is the second wave of them. Still have some more peppers, and this pepper I don't know what it is. I picked, you can see where I picked one, and it was completely white. It's kind of bizarre. No flavor, nothing. It wasn't spicy, it was just odd. Have some more tomatoes here that had formed, and hopefully they will have a chance to finish ripening if the storm doesn't kill the plant. we'll see. So I had to kill one of my squashes that was dead, and I used the soil to transplant my pineapple. My pineapple is really increasing in size. It is now almost 2 feet across, and it was definitely too small for the container that it was in. Back in the background you can see a little bit. I have a couple of plantings of lettuce, and I have a few smatterings of bok choy. Hopefully some of it can grow. My squash is really not producing anything, even though it keeps blooming, but there is no squash on it. And my cabbages are not doing anything. They started to grow again, and then something started eating them. So my guess is I'm not going to have any cabbage this year. We'll see what happens. My potatoes are still there. Since they're not fully dead yet, I'm not picking them until they're completely dry. So I want to give the potatoes a chance to form. With the heat that we had, it was almost impossible for them to form. And this plant, this tomato, is absolutely crazy. It is so huge. This is one plant. You can see on this side it has multiple. I really did not trim it, so I let all of the suckers grow. And you can see it together with watermelon, so together with cucumber, it's growing. Here is another example of this tomato bug. I think the bug is actually already dead. It just stuck, and the larva is eating it. The wasp larva is eating it from the inside out. Kind of interesting, but kind of gross at the same time. And I do have a watermelon here as well. It's kind of tiny. It's very tiny, but it's there. And it's odd shape. Really odd shape. It looks like only part of it got fertilized or got pollinated. So not all of the parts got pollinated, so only one side is expanding. But it's okay. And again, this is an overgrown cucumber. There's lots more to come. So you can hear some of the rumbling. We've had storms non-stop. I'm gonna transition here. My cucumbers are continued. So this is the old cucumbers. The old plant is still in full production mode. I thought it would slow down, but it's still producing. Who would have known? And the newly ones that I had planted also started to produce. So these are new ones that I planted just a few weeks ago. And you can see they're growing at full speed, and they're producing on their own. This is a new plant, so they're eager to produce. I have another kind of large watermelon there. Sorry, the cucumber. This pepper really was not doing well for a long time, and finally formed a couple of peppers. It's kind of hard to see because of all the leaves, but there are peppers on the inside. So I'm hoping I will get something out of it. And again, you can see the blight had hit this tomato as well. So this tomato is dying off as well. But at the top, it is covered in blooms. And it's forming fruit. So go figure. Somehow it's still producing. And it's trying to, and it's huge. I have no idea how I'm gonna harvest any of that, because that's over 8 feet tall. I can't reach that. Anyways, you can see my orange tree have really regained some of the foliage. Thank goodness. And here we have some more of my cucumbers. There's one back there. not quite ready to be picked, but in another day or so it probably will be if the storm doesn't kill it. And for some reason some of my cucumbers are just falling off, and I don't know why, but they die off. They're still in full production mode. You can see lots of cucumbers being formed. There's some in multiples. So it's a very productive plant, and I've been very happy with it. And in terms of production, this is the plant where I get most of my pickling cucumbers. I actually pickled some of them already. But here is a good example. You can see, to pull it out of the shade, you can see it's withering, and I have no idea why. So if anyone knows why my cucumber is withering, I'd appreciate some knowledge here. Because it's really a shame. I'm losing a lot of cucumbers because of it. They have plenty of water, they're not dry, and I feed it. So it has been given fertilizer, it has calcium, it has Epsom salts, it has everything that a cucumber possibly needs, some ash. So there is no reason for it, but I don't know what's happening. So there's something it doesn't like. Anyways, I do have beautiful hollyhocks. They're still surprisingly blooming, and they send side shoots, so they're gorgeous. Here's a nice pink one, very light. The dahlia's finished blooming, and hopefully now we'll gain strength for the bulbs. And a couple more pink ones. Lovely colors. Hopefully the storm will not destroy them all. And going out into the bay, still have a few petunias here. My mint has decided to bloom, of all things. Don't know why, but it's blooming. So maybe I'll get some seed. It's also been inundated by the spider mites covering webbing. And some more black petunias and some marigolds. And a view of the beautiful bay. It is gorgeous today. Beautiful, beautiful views. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you for joining me. And until next time, hopefully without the storm damage.